I always think it's interesting when I get PMs random. I can say I have been getting a lot of private messages, A, to do with the astrology, B, to do with what is up in the sky. And I thought it was probably time I did a mini update. Now, I am in my gym jams, okay? I am, but I've been hammer dialed by people I haven't heard from in eons. One was a beautiful friend out from Brookton, so big shout out to her. Hello, Catherine. And a lot of questions were in relationship to what is happening in the transits, what we see psychically, how the energy is playing out. And I thought it would behoove me to come live and have a bit of a chat. Now, you would not be crazy. Hi, Giggle. You wouldn't be crazy if you had this instinctual feeling where you knew something was coming, but not yet, and wait. Okay. So, one of the messages I was getting from my guides was we still have time. Okay. So, you will understand what that means in correlating energy to current circumstances you personally are dealing with. The other thing is, we are having for some of us, the non eclipse was the shocking moment. Put your hand up if any of you have had any shocking moments through the eclipse season or the moon. For me, it was the moon. It was like, you kind of know, yeah, the event. We're at the event. Are we at the event? I think the event happened in 2020. It was the Great Conjunction. And you effectively, I do believe these subject matters that we've currently been dealing with are in correlating energy to pre 2020 energy. Why is that? Because Pisces is the 12th house. It's the end of the clock. We are going into the new clock as we move into April. And we did say, if you go and listen to tarot readers, you can see a lot of signatures coming through. There's a lot of statements, and I do recall in a part of my awakening, I would come across all of these real positive videos, and I'm like, fuck, that is so not happening right now. And it is that energy that it is in the ethers, because we do have these frequencies playing out at the moment where you do sense something new is coming through, but you're like, yeah, but it kind of looks like a turkey dinner at the moment. It doesn't look like it right now, because what we're currently looking at is a very 3D circumstance. But what we need to understand is when we are tuned in, we are tuning into a different timeline we're moving into. And that's why we're getting both the yin to the yang and the frequency. We're getting the subtle connotations and rumbling under the surface of physical manifestations that we're viewing. And we're like, heck, gosh, that's taking me by surprise. I, even at an individual level, knowing the astrology, did see things in my own personal chart. Did I foresee how they were going to play out? Hell no. And they did take me by huge surprise. So, sometimes spanners in the works do come through in your life, and you're kind of like, well, that wasn't part of the plan. Why did that have to happen now? That was not my timeline. So, a lot of us are going to still feel foggy, tired, unmotivated, bounce of depression popping off. You're not going to feel like that for the totality of the year. A lot of people have also been in that description, almost looking for reasons why. And I would really say test this right now. If you have been feeling foggy, unmotivated, depressed, try to, as much as possible, not to move to pacifiers. Because I can say to you, within your means, obviously, if you feel that you need to, again, seek medical advice always, but if you can just gauge how this frequency is going to go, moving into the end of April, even by the time we reach that new moon, try to keep your eye on your goal right now. So have a goal. If you don't have a goal right now, it's more than likely because you're in the confusion stage. It's very natural. In that confusion stage, it is based on that Pisces energy. So to remove it, what you can do is focus on something else just for a little bit to give yourself a break off it. And then as that calms down, you're going to find that your focus is very directed in a particular area. Now, it can be to tie loose ends up. Even myself, like I said, knowing the astrology, there were some things in my life that was like, wow, I really need to deal with these things. I need to deal with X, Y, and Z. Gosh, I should, how have I not done this yet? So all of you are going to have some area in your life that you feel you need to tick the boxes with. The other thing is a slowing down. Okay, so the slowing down, we can feel unmotivated. We might just want to go into hermit mode. We might feel very fatigued. There could be situations in our family that's happening. Jupiter is station direct, and we haven't got the goody juice really coming in yet. It's moving in momentum. The aspects will be different as we proceed forward, and some of that growth energy, we'll actually see it happening in the economy. We'll see it in the housing market. At the moment, it's very slow. And that energy can continue for around 6 months. It's about mid-year, I think about June, I believe, but I'll get the exact dates later. But there is going to be momentum that is going to shift with that. So keep an eye on moving into April. As you move into April, what you're going to find is your attitude's going to change. Some of you, if you really pay close attention, you're going to know where Aries is in your chart, and you're going to see an attitude shift. You might, for certain people, say it's in your third house. Your communication style all of a sudden is going to become very assertive. You're going to be more outspoken and direct. You're going to find that you're reacting in different ways. If it's in your 7th house, you could be looking at your money and your relationships and be really attracted to a more mature stance and equality within the connection, but again, more structure. You're going to be seeking structures in your connections. Your friendship groups, old people also can come back, but again, there is a shift in particular areas. The way you care for your body, the way you dress, how you react to circumstances is going to evolve. And your first house, it's going to be you at an individual level, feeling empowered with your status. So how people perceive you is going to really evolve, and it might be quite shocking for some people that you are maybe going through a change in your diet and your nutrition, and we're noticing some of these things. But there's going to be a dream involved here. There's going to be a wound involved here, because we have Chiron in Aries, the wounded healer. So our wellness is quite critical that we care for it, but also the confidence level that you're going to have is very different to the Pisces energy. We're still going to have our North Node there till mid-year. Until the nodes move, we're still working in these areas, and that's why I say you still have time. So if some things came through early on the non-eclipse of the Pisces moon, you're going to have time to work through those things. Can they be shifting, and can you have some clarity in particular areas? Yes, I do believe by April. So if there was some shocking events, if there was some changes, if you shifted jobs, if you had health situations going on, if there was delays in your love life, you can find, as we do move into April, some of those situations are going to move. You'll also find that the energy of masculine frequency is going to go through a massive shift next month. And I want you to look at the people around you for example factors, especially those of you that are on the twin flame path. If you are, going through an awakening, I want you to watch the male energies and masculine energy inside yourself as well as in other people. I do predict that we may see people exiting relationships where they feel it is not for them. That can be relationships, partnerships, contracts. And I also see changes in alliances. It could be changes in rules, changes in laws, changes in alliances with countries with the Libra moon. And that's going to be a full moon, okay? So keep an eye out for those. What else do I see? Do we have any questions while I'm here? Free of charge, I'll answer a question. Whatever you're wanting to know that I can actually look at. So what are some of the questions I've been asked? I have had individuals ask me about the oil and the oil crisis. The funny thing is, we do by October actually have Venus retrograde in Scorpio, and that does have undertones of that situation. So we would hope that it won't take that long, although we do have some signature there relating to that subject matter in some shape or form. That also can relate to debt, taxes, inheritances, secrets. It's going to move between two signs. And again, it is Venus. So it can be with direct countries as well. The other thing is that, I have noticed in some countries they have referenced for people to stay at home to actually help with that situation. I did put those predictions up on my website, and those of you that do actually join the website, we have every month I do offer my predictions as what I see it, and they're offered free of charge in there. So you actually basically go to the subscription page, you log into it, and I give you a PDF guide, which kind of has a bit of a newsletter look similar to this. And it basically covers it. And inside of that, I did mention that there was a potential of you can't go somewhere temporarily. Now, how could that look? It could be based on this current situation we're dealing with. It could be for safety reasons. Pisces is going to wrap it up. Pisces is going to end things. So we may find with this Mercury station direct, some of those things can start ironing out and resolving themselves. There are slight aspects where peace talks could be possible. Again, I do see that as something quite temporary. I don't see that as an ongoing, what would I say, permanency at this point where it stands. What is the other? I do believe by April, where you have felt over the last, I would say, 10 years and beyond, if you have felt like you have just been, moving in particular directions, nothing's been working, there's been nothing but adversity, I do find at an individual level that position both, this is what I said to my husband as well, I directly feel concerned and excited simultaneously, because at an individual level, you're going to have an opportunity to, instead of having to rip everything down, which, you can see everything that happened on my YouTube channel over the last few years. Effectively, the North Node in Pisces was about pulling things down that weren't working in your life in general. So this was more on a physical level that you viewed it. In your life, when you look at it, you might have had a lot of things taken from you. It might have been people, pets, jobs, lovers. However that was, happening in your life, it might have been assets, it might have been paying down debt, and it was just like nothing was left. Where it's moving to now is going to be the first opportunity in your life in a very, very long time where you are going to have the ability to plant some seeds. And it's like you're taking your power back and confronting your wounds and having the assertiveness to go, done, I have to do this. And I think it's almost like we're having revelations in certain areas of our life, and it can be in a myriad of places. It might be, I need to care for my health. I need to really prioritize myself. I need to communicate more effectively. I need to be more assertive and create boundaries. I'm wanting to, move into certain areas of my life with more structure to create something to give me autonomy and independence. And I think, like I've mentioned this to a lot of people over the years that I've coached, that I did see this time frame where it's almost like the spotlight's on you. We look back to the last time we had the North Node in Aries, and, for the Aries clients that I was coaching, the first thing I'd say to them is the spotlight's on you, because it's a first and a seventh house aspect. So it's almost like, what part did you have? What part did another person have? But what do you want? And when connections are balanced, which is something we're going to have to look at, I think, with this full moon in Libra, is that, if something's breaking away, how we communicate right now, if we're moving into things and we're communicating with people, regardless of if there's been misunderstandings, it might be a perfect time to clear the air now, to start doing that. To also be patient in responding to things so that you can articulate it effectively, but not jump to conclusions and to be very abrupt and cut things off, because I do think there's something in this that we do have to actually move through it next month. So we're moving into, at the moment, we have the moon in Gemini. Uranus will be moving. So it's moving out of Taurus. And it's weird because, that has been a lot of disruption in agriculture, for instance, and the monetary system. Now it's moving into Gemini, which is, local businesses are going to go through massive changes. The banking system is going to go through changes. The schooling system is going to go through changes. The car industry is going to go through changes. And it's funny because many people are saying, well, what does this mean for my job? We can have a pushback with the AI revolution, although the North Node is going to be there. So I think we are going to have a re-identification about what is working and what's not. And during the Mercury retrograde, one of the websites that I sort of promote, not so much I get money for it because I physically don't. It's just a website I use, and I believe people that are less intuitive around astrology, that astroseek.com is a good starting point. There's hundreds of them you can go to, but it's quite user-friendly. They also had their server, to my belief, crash, and you physically had to log in. So one of the messages that would pop up on the site was actually deeming that. Over here in the news, we had a company that was, to my understanding and memory, don't quote me, is that their server was actually hacked and everything was wiped. So when you have a North Node in Aquarius, which relates to, it can be like groups and communities and the humanitarian, the middle industry, mining, space. It's in Pluto as well. It's usually what we're not good at. Okay, and Pluto's there as well. So what we're not good at, we're going to be focusing on next. Thus, the most recent two eclipses we had was one, which was an introduction to the North Node in Aquarius, high love, and two was the South Node eclipse. We did a flip, which is what's going to happen with the next eclipses. So even though we have moved away from the eclipse in Aquarius, we're still seeing subject matters towards it. You see a lot in the sky. Some of the members were asking me, like, why are we seeing so many fireballs in the sky at the moment? And it was like, okay, we can look at a few planets at the moment based on that. We have Pluto in Aquarius, which is sky. It's also things that are hidden under the earth. It's recycling. So we're going to see a lot of recycling. And those can be niche markets that can actually have growth as well. The other is the fact that we have Neptune in Aries, which is a fire sign, and it's sky and water. What was the other? Uranus moving into Gemini, which can be weather events. But again, we're looking at the sky, we're looking at astrology. Thus, the reason astrology most recently has become extremely popular, and people are looking to the stars. We also commonly had, with Neptune and Aries, we had cults, and it's quite funny. I was waiting for the signature of such, and with certain subject levels coming up, it's like, have we spotted it? Is it the files? Is it the hidden agendas? It's like you're kind of looking for it, but there has in history with Neptune in Aries been cults. Now, so how do you eliminate that? And I think most of us have become quite savvy these days online. We're having to become more so. You'll find that you will need to do your research. You're going to need to really, fine tune and listen to what the subject matter is. but we can be moving more into occult wisdom. We can be moving away from certain belief systems and into more new age ways. And that again is going to be something that we're looking to actually balance ourselves. One of my predictions is, when we have Jupiter move into Leo, the sports is going to come up quite big. With Neptune and Saturn and Aries, you're going to all of a sudden decide that you really want to get fit. You're going to want to do things differently, to look after your health, to, get the exercise in, to, it could be taekwondo, it might be martial arts, it could be training to protect yourself, So we're going to see that increase. Sports as well. Sports stars can be in the media. What else? I also do believe that with Jupiter in Leo, it can be that we get this huge craze with a particular toy that comes through. We had the Riptych Cube that come through with Jupiter and Leo, and it was an individual that created it and they became a billionaire. So, toys or AI things, games and education content also can have a huge spike. And we will find that is going to be an increase in wanting to create your own. Moving into entrepreneurship is going to be something that's quite large. And sometimes it's going to be due to the fact that you physically feel within your field that it's just not safe anymore. So you're having to pivot. I had a couple of members on YouTube that follow. They've sort of said all of a sudden they've become redundant. They've had all these things popping off. My firm belief, and especially based around how I view astrology, is when doors close, it's because other opportunities are coming towards you. Now, it's never any constellation when that happens. It really is not, because you are looking at your life and you're saying, gee, this has really taken me by surprise. Very Uranus and Taurus, it's quite sudden. It's rags to riches, riches to rags. And we can have some of those moments at the moment happening, but we also do have these new signatures, which is going to actually accelerate your path. And I do feel if you are open-minded, these new doors that are coming towards you are going to be something that you can hold for your lifetime. They're going to be something that you can actually set up and take with you moving forward. I also see a lot more people wanting to have a different life, wanting to really have a moment where it's not eat, pray, repeat like you're a robot, that you're a physical human and you want to be able to look at the stars. You want to be able to breathe and take a moment without feeling guilty of, being plugged in, being connected, being on a regimented routine. And, we can see that energetically, that frequency directly impacts human beings. So in some senses, we're going to want those connections more so. I think if we can be careful to lean in to conflict and not lean away, you're probably going to find you're going to fine tune a skill like you're a diamond in the rough. I've tried to force myself to listen and hear people out. And I feel if we can do that, we are directly changing the vibration where we can change it. Now, it doesn't mean to say we have to agree with it. Even if we hear something, we can move through that. We can directly get to a space where, like, okay, I've indulged you to tell your story. How did that make me feel? Because I think sometimes we have this instant response to switch off, to block, to delete when we are hearing something that we don't vibe with. And I think if we're wanting to create that change, we're really going to have to change that tune. And it is about actually giving people an opportunity to have a belief system, be it we agree or not. And sharing, having the courage to actually share your perspective, but also doing it in a very mature adult way. That's where we're actually going to bridge that gap. Now, I'll tell you when the moon's going to be for Libra. I was like, hell, my chart has been lit up like a Christmas tree probably since 2017. So when I looked at the charts moving forward, and I know my charts, I was like, oh, here we go again. Now, it's many of you are going to say, here we go again, right? But it isn't. It's more because you can look in your birth chart, you have 12 signs. I look to my sun and moon and ascendant. And so it's like I'm having a triple whammy. And it really hasn't been fun. But share, where are the placements for you? Where is Pisces in your chart? And how do you get it? You can go to Astro, you can type in Astro Seek birth chart, and you can put in your birth date, your place, and it will pull the chart for you. You just follow the instructions, you fill it out. If you don't know your time, you can still kind of pull a chart. Press don't know, and it's going to pull you a rough chart, but it's going to be closer than listening to your basic zodiac sign. That's about the sum of it. There are places that you can actually get a rectification chart from an experienced astrologer, and they will then be able to ask you a series of questions, and from there they can then give you the best interpretation. Now, why is an astrology, a birth chart, great to have? Because it's like getting a weather forecast. They'll give you a bunch of variables. Yes, you can book readings with me. You'll get a bunch of variables basically, and it's going to tell you where some of those things can go on in your life and what to be ready for, so that when they do come, you're prepared. Like I said, I was prepared. I knew this. So I kind of laughed to myself. I just laughed at the fact that I didn't see how particularly it was going to come. You feel me? So I'm now sometimes, and I do believe for a lot of us, we needed to go through January, February, March. April is an activating point. By the end of April, you're well and truly planting seeds, and you're going to have it's going to feel very different to the first 4 months of the year. I can absolutely guarantee you that. It is a different vibe. You are going to become less and less foggy. You are going to need to keep your wits about you, because it is going to be, some of you, and I'll ask you now, do you feel things have sped up? Do you feel all of a sudden everything was taking so fucking long? And now it's like just flying by. I mean, I literally had to ask my husband. I said to him, it's Tuesday. He goes, no, it's not. It's Wednesday. I'm in Perth, Western Australia, for those of you that don't know. Slightly ahead of some of you in America, just slightly. So, the great thing is for you guys is when crap goes down for me, I usually PM the members and they know, and then before it happens, they're warned. So that's one benefit. As long as it's better than it has been. I can't say that it's going to be easy. I think any astrologer that tells any of us that it's going to be easy is absolutely lying. So I can't say that. But there is, and I keep using this as an analogy, we have been a goldfish in a goldfish bowl, right? And our perspective has been very foggy. And from 2020, we have been moving out of an old world. So the best way I can describe that world was, it's like when Rome fell, a new situation was built. So we're living inside of a building that's falling down, and as of the end of April, we're building the building again. Does that make sense? So that's the timeline we're on at this point. Now, anyone who's renovated a house knows there's dangers involved in living effectively in a building that's being restored. We're living in a building currently that is being restored globally. So ecosystems are evolving, trade agreements are evolving. Now, there was a woman I looked after years ago in a nursing home, and she was 99 years old. And she had such a great attitude to life, and she lived through wars, she lived through things. And I would always ask, because I felt that these were the greatest educators to me, what's your secret? What's your secret to life and your attitude? And she says, there's a certain point in your life you stop evolving. And when you do, you've given yourself permission to exit. When you're willing to evolve, you're choosing to live. So is it okay to be scared? 100%. Is it okay? But, excitement can actually mirror fear, because it's like the anticipation that you can rewrite your story, the anticipation you can help change your world. It's that frequency. So it is, when we've had a lot happen, and we've had a lot of bad shit happen, what is the first response we go to? It's the same horrible story, right? I've always said to the members, if we know we have that pattern as human beings, which we do, the one thing you can do is find a story right now while you're mediocre, you know, you're not at the pits of despair. And that's going to be your go-to toolkit. So when you have a memory of something that you can fall back on, and this is what I used to do so that I could call bullshit on myself. I remembered times when I had the most exhilarating, exciting subjects happen, so unannounced, so exciting that I could fall back on that. And it was just, I was not expecting it. And it would be something so amazing. And it was just right around the corner, and I didn't know it was there. So in those moments when you feel, oh God, it's always going to be like this, it is never going to remain the same. That is a fact. That's truth. I shared a video on the community page. Go and listen to it. The lyrics are based on, you know, not giving up, rules of life, what you do to move forward. Is having that attitude, and we really have to have this attitude moving forward. When we are hurt because we've lost humans, pets, jobs, ways of life, it's okay to mourn. This is what the first 3 months of this year were. They were giving us a moment to mourn. They were giving us a moment to reflect, to be melancholy, to get nostalgic, to dream the dream and think about those things that we wanted to do. Now we are going to be effectively coming out of it. Now, some of you are still working through that process, and that's very much okay. But it's also going to get this huge spark coming up in us where we're going to start moving on and up, and we're going to have this kind of light, this fire, this passion lit inside us, which is good. It's something good to feel. So gauge it. You know, if you don't trust the process, I want you to get a journal, or just to say to yourself right now, okay, what do I feel today? Let me check in tomorrow. What do I feel tomorrow? Move mid into April, out of April, and where is your energy? Is it tired? Is it foggy? I want you to check those things. And that's where you can say, shit, astrology actually does work. It's energy, it's frequency. So, you know, most things in life, be it psychic energy, it's the static you get when you are dragging your feet and you touch something. It's thinking of a song and then it comes on the radio. They're all intercepting. Okay. Aquarius 47. You got Aquarius, do you? Are you Aquarius? My ascendant's in Aquarius. I'm like, this is going to be so much fun. Aquarius. So, what's happening? Well, I was thinking about Rome theme when I was reading about the courthouse of Rome. Yeah, look, a lot of these elements are actually, you know, popping in. I've always said, if you want to know what's ahead, go and look. Always keep an eye on what are the new songs and the lyrics coming up. Why? It's because they predominantly have a frequency of the astrology, and you can pick up on themes. So movies, there's a lot of feminine archetypes coming through in movies, being really like, I'm gonna mess you up. My cat has been crying and playing up for months, and I couldn't work it out. And it was through the eclipses. She sounds like, you know, she's dying. She's just like screeching. And I noticed the other day, I was talking to Giggle, and I went, oh my God, I know why she's screaming. And there's a cat that passes the house and they're calling to each other. So she just bellows out. So I have to shout at her like a parent, like, stop. So could the issue with the fuel continue? Maybe. Will it smooth out at some point? You might find you'll be getting it elsewhere, or it could be coming through in a different way. We'll know by April. Okay? We're waiting for April. We're waiting for that Aries moon. Still haven't told you the date. Sorry. Giggle, tell me to get my shit together. I get very tired very easy. I ripped my tendons in my ankle, so I'm doing my physio. I'm living the dream. Okay, so we had the okay, so we've got 6 months worth of that eclipse in Aquarius. So that will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 July. We need to be ready for that. And the Virgo one, we have August. And a lot of astrologers say between June and August, we have some big activations. We also, I would say, like I said, by September, Scorpio. What could I say that will link to? I'll talk about that later, but we're going to have a Venus retrograde in October. So, April, let's have a look at the astrology. We've got a lot of conjunctions. Okay, so the full moon is happening on the 2nd of April, and it's going to be at 12 degrees. And then we have the new moon in Aries on the 17th at 27 degrees. Okay, 12 degrees Libra, Sabian symbol. I had a girlfriend message me. She says, "You said war was going to happen?" I was like, yeah, it depends on how it's going to go. The Sabian symbol of 12 degrees Libra. Miners are emerging from the mine. This symbol signifies a return to the surface after profound inner work, which does make sense because the retrogrades we had, a lot of the placements were having deaths and rebirths, which means they go into their dark phase, they have a rebirth stage. Okay. And we are like coming out of a cocoon because we were in the 12th house, how can you look at the 12th house? The 12th house it's mental asylums, it's psychic energy, it's churches, it can be spiritual gurus like Sadhguru, it's meditation, it can be privacy, it can be where we hide ourselves because we're trying to protect ourselves. Prisons also can come up, subjects to do with prisons, prisoners, addictive tendencies. It can be the house of self-undoing. It's also foggy. Okay, mental health, psychology is also linking to such. So what we've had is within that realm, we have revisited that. And why was it hard? Because Mercury is your thoughts, your actions, your food. So you might have found in the beginning stage of it, which had hit me that way, it was like I was so hungry, but I was getting grossed out by eating. There was emotions involved, and it was like, whoa, Yildiz, I know what's going on here. And it was the pacifier energy, so it might have been getting intoxicated and might have been smoking, and it's like having that awareness of how we directly deal with our psychology in emotional, tumultuous situations helps us come back to the reality of, hang on a minute, let's not do that. Let's break this pattern. Let's identify what this situation really is. And then it's going into the emotions and breaking those patterns because, a lot of times if you have been kind of at a standstill and there's been a similar piece of adversity coming at you and then suddenly you like stop and you realize you can't cry, it's because you're over that stage and you're ready to move and accelerate to that next level because you're like, no, done, I want to do something about my life. I'm ready to actually evolve this situation. I'm ready to move to that next stage. And so that 12th house is where we're entering into this lunation, which is going to be Libra. And I think most of us are done on it, ready to actually have that brand new chapter. So it states this symbol signifies a return to the surface after profound inner work, bringing hidden treasures, knowledge, or unconscious insight into light of the conscious awareness. Bringing subconscious insights into the light, emerging from deep, dark places into the light of consciousness awareness. Practical application of knowledge, utilizing insight gained from deeper inner work and outer. And we can look at Libra. Libra is the shadow sign to Aries. And so what is that? It's our contracts, it's our partnerships, it's our connections. So we're having to take tactical approaches to deal with these circumstances. Now, Aries is gung-ho. It wants to go. It's me. Screw you. This is about me. Now, we need to get a bridging between the two. And so we could be going into negotiations with situations. We may need to look at the other person's side of a situation to be able to look at it from both sides to create that kind of negotiation. And we will see leaders going through that. We'll see laws going through evolution. Moon usually associates to the people, but it also links to a mother figure. We could have a subject with a mother figure and, you know, having an evolution of a situation changing. Our parenting roles can be going through that. These also can be to do with, you know, us within our homes and how we're dealing with these situations. It could be a legal matter, but I'd say it's more to do with the justice symbols, right? It's trying to find that balance. We'll read further. I think we're uncovering things. Let's put it that way. A secret freed in the heart. Bear with me. I'm usually more prepared, but this was just to let me come live and have a chat. Okay, keyword escape. When positive, the degree is inexhaustibly resourceful of self with the you're able to use your resources in better ways. Okay, you're able to deal with complex situations in a profound way, let's put it that way. Also, you could be expressing something but you're waiting for justice. Now, the next lunation, more issues with mother figures are rebuked. Also, with her zodiac sign, giggle, because Jupiter is in Cancer, you know, her psychology and emotions and health would have been impacted with the retrograde of Jupiter. You're going to find her attitude's going to shift, okay? The energy of her frequency is going to shift, which is going to alleviate your situation. You've also had a lot of aspects in your chart that have been hitting you quite hard. Your frequency is going to evolve too, and it's going to move to that next level. Aquarius, yours can be finances. It could be your net worth, your income. You could be having a change in that area. What zodiacs do we have in the house? Virgo, you guys are going through relationship shifts, but you're also having some other areas cropping up. And then we have the Aries, 25 degrees. Sabian symbol. Double promise. We can only ever attract life situations in keeping with our expectations in accordance with what we deeply believe. And that is so relevant in this circumstance. I'll keep reading at the moment, but we need to keep in mind a particular zodiac sign at the minute, not zodiac sign, Chiron, the wounded healer, an asteroid, is sitting in Aries. Now, Chiron transits through all the signs. It has been sitting in Aries a lot longer because it is deemed that we have more work to do in the first house. What does that mean? At an individual level, we internally to find our own personal identity away from being fake, away from other people's expectations. We have more work to do in that area. Now, Aries falls in everyone's sign somewhere. You know, if it is your individual Chiron and it's in your birth chart, it means you're having a return of yours, which again, look to the degree point. Mine's hitting between now and next year. And I might say, I hurt my ankle. Do you know how it's going to come up? It's also in a Mercury sign. It's about communicating, expressing, and, you know, feeling confident enough to communicate what your opinion is in an adult, mature fashion. This is going to be so fun. Relationships, yes. Now, it's funny you say that because I was talking to another individual today, and we need to understand what the seventh house is. At the moment, where you have been putting your focus, it doesn't mean that there's not a relationship cosmic journey, because the way it's coming through the signature of it, say in a spiritual connection, you know where that person's chart is, you know where yours is, and you have your zodiac sign is in the north node and the relationship sector is in the south node. There's a slight delay on that. So you have to go through that. It goes through evolution and you're forced to focus on yourself until that energy evolves. The vice versa can apply, right? So that energy, once it wraps up, you're going to find that connections for you are going to flow more smooth. So, you know, there was one individual I did a reading for, and I went, oh, interesting. Okay, in your sector, where the placement is. And I asked a series of questions, and I'll keep the individual completely private, and it's nobody who's in the house right now. And they were talking about the fact that between the two of them, they were wanting children. And I said, you'll probably find there'll be more of a breakthrough after we move through the synodal cycle, and then that window will open up for you. But it does help when it's in the south node. It actually helps evolve that situation to repair that situation, so that when you move through, you've got a new tactical approach and there's, you know, kind of movement happening in that area. So it's not to say it's not happening, but remember, what is the seventh house? It's how you look, it is your money, it is your contracts and partnerships, it's your friendship groups. So it might have been that you poured all your energy into contracts and partnerships. It's like, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, I'm working, you know, I'm doing the 10th and the 7th house energy. So sometimes it shows up in a different way. And it also, just because it's not looking like a traditional relationship, it's still a relationship. It's just, it's not where you desire it to be yet. And that's why certain things don't shift right away, is because they need to go through that evolution. And we can get very frustrated and disillusioned, but it inadvertently does transform you. And then standards energy, especially as we move to next month, because it's shifting into Aries, some of the key subject matters, that's when we're going to get more assertive and passionate and, you know, have that movement. Twin has Aries in 3 aspects in their 10th house. Yeah, well, really big questions to do with the career factor, right? Aries also, Twin has Aries in 3 aspects to the 10th house. So I would say there could be a change in their career. This also can be at a personal level. The status can change. So how can, you know, between the identity Aries as an individual, because the person actually is an Aries, and then within the 10th house, it's 2 things. It's like they could end up becoming a brand. They may re-identify with something that they feel is more for them. That could completely be different to what they're currently doing right now, to be perfectly honest. They also could step down or step up. Saturn's there. It's going to require more responsibilities. But I would definitely say 10th house, they're going to be re-identifying their purpose. Aquarius North Node. Shit, hell yeah, he's definitely changing. Aquarius is going through quite a bit at the moment. Yeah, well, it's the first house. It's the first house. New negotiations would be good. I love that. So, how are you, lady? Are you good? So, what are the main areas that have been coming up for everyone? I actually listened to an astrologer the other day, and she's like, she was talking about her chart, and went, "Oh my god, that sounds like my chart." So, where's Aries for you, Giggle? So do we feel a little bit more equipped to deal with what's coming in? Now, Geminis, you guys are going to be having Uranus moving into your sign. You're going to need to look after your nervous system, okay? Just initially, just let the integration of that frequency come in. You can feel super sensitive, really oversensitive and stimulated. Keep away from stimulants, whatever you do. Pisces North Node. Well, look, they're going to be really, really orientated to moving into what they feel is destined. And the first house is them as an individual. It's focusing on themselves for a change, which makes sense. Mother inheritance, people trying to manipulate siblings. Oh. The other tip I was going to say is I want you guys to write your goals down. Or if you're brainy, you can go write the goals and here. I know what it is. Anytime you find yourself getting sidetracked and you're scrolling and you're not putting, try and chip away at things. Think of yourself as a miner and you're going to chip away at that goal. You are going to become more grounded and more motivated if you do. If it's your nutrition every day, chip away. If it's a career, chip away. If it's, wellness or, starting a business, whatever that be, chip away at it and try to tune out of the white noise, okay? Energy is going to increase as we're moving into next month. And no matter what happens, I want you to remain very focused on your goals. It's going to be a way that it's going to ground you. It's going to keep you on mission. And always do the opposite of every Joe blog. Sometimes we get caught in a rat race and we think the fire's over here when it's really something we should be focusing over here. Don't be a sheep, okay? Don't be a sheep. Think before you react with things. You got to be really on your P's and Q's. Because we've got Saturn in Aries, we've got Neptune in Aries, we've got the Uranian energy. Don't be a sheep. Think, step back, observe, and make decisions. It's going to be your saving grace. If you can be patient and not respond and not, be biting, you're going to find it's going to go in your favor. But if you're going to jump in the deep end, you're going to put your foot in the shit. You let the art of war is you let things come to you, okay? You watch your opponent. You deal with the situation in a correct manner. That would be my advice. Bookkeeping, get your bookkeeping done. Any paperwork you need to get done. A lot of clearing in your homes at the moment. Rest where you can. At the minute, you're probably going to need it, but you're going to find that this situation has already started. So for most of us, we are directly starting to move in that situation in a particular area. It's drawing us. The other thing is a lot of creativity is going to come through. Now, should you have your vegetable gardens? Yes, you should. Should you have the basics of what you need? Yes, start getting that ready. And that's going to create something that is for you. It's purposeful. Instead of feeling like you're spiraling and you're going in circles, you're going to have something to put your energy into. If your energy's super, like when you get into Aries energy, it's very fiery. It's very passionate. You're going to need to keep hydrated. You're going to need to be on your P's and Q's on the road because we will get more accidents. So you're going to have to be extremely cautious. People are going to be very impatient and aggro. We could see a lot more narcissistic tendencies coming through. So, having your garden, being aware of weather patterns. I mean, we have moved away from the Virgo eclipse. It was only a while ago. So we can have wind still. We can have environmental situations, especially as we have the ingress into Gemini because that's wind. So I'll get the date of the ingress. Venus also on the 24th will move into Gemini. Oh, mate, it's going to be hard for us to make up our mind. Mars enters Aries on the 9th, so we do need to be careful from then, okay? And again, we always get these kind of transits before. So a lot of times, if I was to come out and predict things, this is probably a better time, maybe even a week ago, I could have brought the predictions to you. You tend to see a lot of the following month's energy already playing out. So we can have new laws, we can have new alliances happening with certain countries, we can have subjects to do with justice and balance and equality, relationships, partnerships, and contracts. We're looking over those things. It is the Venus sign, so yes, could also be money and values and what those physical things are, and can we have them? Having to be more balanced, maybe when we're looking at those things. Then we move into Aries, and it's about independence. So yeah, we could be like, no, this is my belief. And, we don't want to get into fights over that, because every human being on the planet has a different idea. And so, if you would look at that in a management sense, that we all individually have our own opinion, it'd be a pretty messy management system, wouldn't it? So we've got to get that everything does affect everyone, and it is all interconnected. And I think if we can look at it that way, we're going to keep our cool. And I think we do need to keep our cool. The other thing is we can bite off more than we can chew. We can be heated around our family. It's a new moon, almost at the critical degrees. But what I would say is check your fire alarms. So good to have, the awareness of it, because Aries can be leaving a stove and walking away. Being careful with, sharp objects around the home. Dog bites. Being careful with dog bites. I wouldn't be surprised if, we see. You could type in new laws. I do think subjects to do with China and Russia will come up based on that, even Australia, because we have Aries in our chart as well. Any questions? Oh, Uranus and Gemini, that's right. So we've got Venus enters there, Mars. So 26th of April, we officially have Uranus moving into Gemini. Oh boy. So we've had it in Taurus. So it entered into Taurus in 2018. It's now going to be exiting. Okay, so 7 years we are going to have Uranus and Gemini. Uranus brings change. So this will be changed to our technology. This will be changed to air quality, communication devices, how we shop, how we trade. I would, I've already seen technology coming out where you can directly put it on an earpiece and or where it's interpreting for you. I think we're going to see a lot more of that. But again, your local shops, your stores, how we drive, how we fly, it's Uranian energy, changes, sudden changes, necessary changes with these things. Internet and all of those things. So, I could go on and on with it, but we're not going to go too far into it. So that's going to be there till 2033. Yeah, banking. Hi, Stefan. How have you been? Oh, it's just like the good old days. Are you looking after yourself? I'm okay. I'm at home at the moment because I ripped 3 tendons in my ankle. So I'm doing physio. It's bloody painful. I was like, surely the swelling should be gone by now. No. On the garden, so excited for it. Okay, so as to planting via the moon, we can find doing okay, everything. Tired of winter. So the other thing is for planting, Jupiter can actually help the growth of plants. So it's only recently moved forward. I would say be careful around the Aries moon because we could have a spike in heat, but just being careful that when you are planting it, that it's got enough, kind of protection. Let's put it that way. It's moon, so it could just be a point in it. Don't leave candles around. Be careful of sharp items. Be careful of aggression. And locations associated to that. Would it be the best time in April to go and do daredevil sports? Absolutely not. No, it wouldn't be one of those months they go, oh, I'm going to skydive. No, that would be the worst month of the year to do that. So try and avoid that if possible. Driving your car fast or, taking risks associated to that, it's just going to be a no-go. Yeah. I remember going for a walk years ago. I used to always go for a walk. I go morning and night. I do 10K a day. I do miss that. It's always like the thing that you can't do now. You miss the most. And now that my ankles hurt, it's like, oh, what I would do to do 10K right now. I would so love to do that. And I'd always put my hoodie on and I'd go walking. And everyone would go, oh, you shouldn't go at night time. And I'm like, it's okay. I've got my bogan jumper on and my hood's on. And you just walk staunch and nobody will know because this was a big jumper. And I would literally go for an hour and I'd come back. And this Rottweiler came out of the bush. And I was like, oh, hell no. I was like, keep your hands down and just walk. And it just followed directly behind my back. It was right up my butt. And I remember thinking to myself, it's territorial. You just need to. I could see a car and I went, this thing could jump the car. I mean, its head was the size of me. It was huge. And so as soon as I've just slowly walked across the road, my heart is almost coming out of my chest. I haven't moved my hands. I'm not scared of dogs, but this dog was huge and it was nighttime. And I was alone. It could have ripped me to pieces. So I've crossed the road and I'm like, my girlfriend had this comical thing where she's scared of dogs. I mean, shout out to Lauren, I love you. And I've been to her house for a cuppa and she's literally gone, all I heard was, oh shit. And she's throwing her coffee cup at me. And I'm like, I'm holding it. I haven't even had time. I just walked out the front door. We're going to sit on the veranda. And all I heard was, oh shit. And she's throwing the cup. And by the time I've turned around, she's closed the security door, padlocked the door, pulled the roller blinds down, and that's all the time I had. And I turned and went, why is she gone inside? And I saw this dog running towards me. And I just stood there and I went, you're a tree, you're a tree. And it went away. And I thought, this bitch, she's left me out here. And she's like, Yildiz, I'm so sorry, climb on the car. And so this Rottweiler, when it's following me, I'm thinking, I've seen her jump on a car because a dog's coming. Maybe I should do that. And I thought this thing could mount this car. It's going to kill me. So that's one of my funny stories. But she literally ditched me. She left me, broken cup on the floor, bailed. I mean, I would have thought adequately a security door would have been enough, but she closed the security door. She padlocked the front door. She pulled the roller blinds down. I'm like, to be sure. Okay, any questions relating to the astrology? I'll come back at some point if I have time and I'll do the update to do with the moons and where that's going to fall for each zodiac sign. But if you want to know, feel free to ask on this video. But I would say try and keep patient with yourself. Your energy is going to feel better and different moving ahead. Part of this we do need to move through next month, but you are going to start having some more energy, more motivation, more assertive frequency, planting new seeds. and having new chapters. And for people maybe that were a bit stuck in the mud around you and you were feeling you weren't really getting anywhere, you're probably going to find that you're going to have some breakthroughs in that area, to have some clarity and to have some changes. Okay. It was good to see you. I hope I won't be a stranger. I'll try and come back and do updates with the lunations to give you guys some more clarity. Otherwise, take care and I'll see you soon.